What it really feels like to live with a narcissistic spouse. No one talks about this. Living with a narcissistic spouse doesn't start with pain. It starts with confusion that slowly rewires your reality until you begin questioning your own thoughts more than their behavior. At first, everything feels intense and almost magical because they mirror your desires so perfectly that it feels like you've finally found someone who understands you on a level no one else ever has. But over time, that same intensity begins to shift. And what once felt like deep connection slowly turns into emotional unpredictability that keeps you constantly on edge without fully understanding why. One day they admire you, praise you, and make you feel like the most important person in the world. And the next day they withdraw, criticize, or act cold in ways that feel completely disconnected from what you experienced just hours before. This emotional inconsistency doesn't just hurt. It creates a mental loop where you keep trying to figure out what you did wrong. Even when deep down you sense that something isn't right, you start adjusting your behavior in small ways at first, choosing your words more carefully, avoiding certain topics, and walking on eggshells just to maintain peace in the relationship. And without realizing it, you slowly begin abandoning parts of yourself, not because you want to, but because it feels like the only way to keep the connection from collapsing. Conversations that should feel safe and open often turn into subtle power struggles, where your feelings are dismissed, minimized, or twisted in a way that makes you doubt your own emotional experience. You might express hurt, and instead of being heard, you're told you're too sensitive, too emotional, or imagining things that never happened the way you remember them. Over time, this creates a deep internal conflict, because your reality no longer feels stable, and you start relying more on their version of events than your own instincts. Living like this feels like being emotionally exhausted without a clear reason, because the damage isn't always loud or obvious. It's quiet, persistent, and deeply disorienting. There are moments when things feel normal again, when they show affection or act like the person you first fell in love with. And those moments become the reason you stay longer than you should, because those brief glimpses of warmth make you believe that the good version of them is the real one, and that if you just try a little harder, you can bring it back permanently. But the truth is, those moments are part of the cycle, and they often come just after emotional distance or conflict, making the attachment even stronger and harder to break. You begin to feel isolated, not always physically, but emotionally, because explaining your experience to others feels almost impossible without sounding like you're exaggerating or overreacting. From the outside, the relationship might look normal, even successful, which makes your internal struggle feel even more invisible and invalidated. And perhaps the most difficult part is the gradual loss of your sense of self, where your identity becomes shaped around keeping them happy, avoiding conflict, and maintaining a fragile sense of stability. You forget what it feels like to fully relax, to speak freely, or to exist without constantly monitoring someone else's mood or reactions. It's not just about dealing with a difficult partner. It's about living in a psychological environment where your emotional safety is never consistent enough to truly feel secure. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to separate who you are from who you've had to become, just to survive the relationship. But recognizing this experience for what it is can be the first step toward reclaiming your clarity, your voice, and your sense of reality that may have slowly been taken from you over time. Because what you're feeling is real, even if it's been dismissed, and understanding that truth is where your power quietly begins to return.